so you can listen to your favorite stations on the go. Because Next Radio uses the FM tuner already built into your smartphone, it saves on data and battery usage. When compared to streaming audio, Next Radio uses less than a tenth of your data, and your battery will last 3 times longer. Next Radio, it's FM radio on your smartphone.
Introducing a radio inside your cell phone. Listen to all kinds of local radio stations, including KCAA 106.5 Yucaipa and 102.3 Riverside on Next Radio. Download the free Next Radio app today. 100% free, 100% fun, 0% buffering. Stop the buffer and listen to KCAA.
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
Take a walk on the wild side. Will the birds and the bees survive? Right before me, my newfound hippie side. Once ignored these conspiracies online. Out the window, visions of the earth. Sign me up now, make sure you use your smart. Take a walk on the wild side. Will the birds and the bees survive? Would your children lie to see Mother Nature's side?
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
Hey, welcome everyone. It's Smart Health Talk time. Which is, it's either like really a lot of fun or a little bit of a bummer, sorry. And that's because we bring you real facts about real people using real science. Hey, how about that? Imagine that. I mean, all we hear in the news nowadays is, oh, you're giving us fake news. You're giving us fake news. Well, just stay right here. Stay right here on Smart Health Talk, and we promise you, nothing fake about our news. No way. We want you guys to have the truth. That's what we're all about. That's what we're digging for, man. We're looking for that truth, and I'm going to be exposing some major truths. Anyone out there having problems with their cholesterol, heart disease, your doctor got you on statins? How about your thyroid? How's that doing for you? Gaining a lot of weight? Are you one of the 36% that are obese in this country? Because, yeah, that's where we're at right now, the latest stats. And what's really sad, it's not just adults. It's our younger kids, too. And this was, like, non-existent before. We did not hear about type 2 diabetes in children, in teens. It was like overweight, 45-year-old men. That was the ones getting type 2 diabetes. But now that's happening to our kids. And like, where does this come from? Well, number one, the foods you're choosing. And we're going to be talking food today. And this is so important. I can't tell you these food choices. The point of sale. This is where we change the world, everyone. That's why I bought like half my kitchen again. I was like cooking like crazy. I was like cooking for like, I think an hour and a half. I wanted to see just how fast that I could make a couple of things. And also, most important, I don't want to waste food. Have you, Brandon, he's our engineer here. I'm kind of curious, Brandon, have you heard about like food waste being a big problem?
I have not heard that that's a big problem. You should tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I mean, we're wasting like half our food.
Half?
Yeah. I mean, it's 40 to 50% of our food is being wasted. There is food that just sits out and rots on the fields that doesn't get used or eaten. And a lot of it, that's where it belongs. because it's just so full of pesticides and lacking nutrition that it's really not of much purpose anyway. And the foods we're going to be talking today are not like that. These are foods that have quality. And you know that something that happens when you buy quality, like, you know, if you have you ever had like a really nice like pair of sunglasses or something really nice that you could possibly use, your first cell phone or something that you remember that you just you were not going to lose that, man. You kept track of that like a hawk.
My first iPod Touch.
Okay. Did you lose it? Do you still have it?
I don't still have it, but that's because I gave it to my brother. I didn't lose it.
Okay, see? Now, when we have things of value, we know that they are of value to us. And I really think, Brandon, that subconsciously people know that most of the food that they're eating today does not have value, is what I'm trying to say. Now, I'm a registered dietitian, everyone. I'm your host, Elaine McFadden, and I can't even tell you how long I had to go to school to, supposed to be able to know what I'm talking about here. I think I do, okay, because I don't just trust what I think. I mean, we have had, scientist after scientist on Smart Health Talk, right, Brandon?
Yeah.
Yeah, and these are, our top scientists. And Dr. Seneff, which we're going to be playing, what were the two videos? It was Dr. Seneff and
one was about garbage in the ocean, and the second one was Dr. Seneff.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we'll play Dr. Seneff first.
Okay.
Because she, it's funny because so many people, they question her because she's not like a laboratory scientist. When actually, to me, she brings something to the table that's more valuable than the people actually doing the research, because we have all of these research papers out there. But the research is only as good as, first of all, the study and the design of the study, how the data was collected. Was it a double-blind crossover study, which is the gold standard for a study? And most people really don't have the time to kind of go back and check every single study. Well, she is doing that for us. Not only is she checking the studies, but because her expertise is MIT senior researcher at MIT. Now that's got to have some weight there, okay? And that's she's lived her life at MIT, okay? But she is in data analysis. And I thought it was so interesting. I was listening to one of her talks, and she was saying about how they looked for keywords. They searched all this data. She has access to supercomputers, okay, that have all this stuff input, and then it can take the data and look through it in all these different kinds of ways. And so she said they did keyword searches to start off. And, this is really important because we start to see the kind of symptoms and the different characteristics between these different diseases. What are people experiencing? People that are taking statins and that have heart disease, you think it's a good thing. You've listened to commercial after commercial on television thinking it's a good thing. But what if it's not a good thing? We are going to get into that. But the first thing that we have a clip from Dr. Seneff talking about on our show, which I thought was so important, because right now, everyone, we're about policy change. We're about doing what we have to do to make our food safer, our country a place where you can breathe the air. There is a huge percentage of people in this country that are breathing unfit air. And yet, we're not doing nothing about it. And it's a big cause of disease, of asthma. These things are expensive. When someone has to go to the emergency room with an asthma attack, it's very, very expensive. This is a huge burden on our healthcare system. And this is all so that the coal companies and energy companies can pollute more and get away with it, but yet we're the ones that have to pay. And what about this opioid epidemic? Why is it the taxpayers have to pay for these prescription companies making all this money, getting everyone hooked on this stuff? Because they made some really strong drugs. They knew people were going to get hooked on it. They pushed doctors to prescribe this. There was like one town that, unbelievable amount of opium type drugs that had went through this one single town was just unbelievable. So it shows you that there are definitely doctors out there that were purposely prescribing these drugs. They were getting benefits for it. They were getting kickbacks. And yet we, the taxpayers, over and over again, we have to pay this burden. Right now, our House is reviewing glyphosate, Roundup, the #1 most used pesticide, trying to decide, is this toxic or is it not toxic? All right? Now, I think we should be trusting our scientists and not the scientists that work at Monsanto. Okay? We had the top oncologists in the world look at Roundup. The World Health Organization has a special research arm for cancer, and they got the best oncologists in the world together to look at Roundup. Now, I want to tell you about what was different about that study, because they're talking about it in the House. They had one of their top doctors from that group come and testify, and trust me, as soon as their report came out, Monsanto was on it. Every single thing we can do to discredit it. We have emails where they conspire to discredit this, our top cancer oncologist in the world recommendation on Roundup. And the thing is, they keep saying, oh, we have all these studies to show that glyphosate is safe. Okay, glyphosate, which can be anywhere from 2 to 50% of the product, but what else is in there? Surfactants, chemicals that make it penetrate deep down into the plant, all kinds of other secret chemicals that they don't have to tell us, and we have tried. We have tried to find out what the heck is in this stuff and have taken it to court. Our top groups that are there for us, fighting for us, have taken this to court, tried to find out what the heck is in these pesticide products that they're not telling us about. We know some of it, and these are more toxic than the active ingredient, which is glyphosate. These other ingredients that are in there, they are not tested together in that product. This is what is different than what this group at the World Health Organization looked at. They didn't just go, oh, let's just test that little glyphosate that's in there. That stuff that there's only a few percentage of. And ignore the other 100 toxic chemicals. I had a guest on our shows, an editor of an organic magazine for years, who told me they use nuclear waste. We know that they're using fracking. Those little halo tangerines that you want to get your kids? I tell you, nothing like the ones that I just got from the farmer's market last weekend from the Cunninghams, who have an organic orchard for years. That's why I go to the farmer's market. I'm going direct to the source, cutting out the middleman, paying cheaper, getting fresher, getting organic, no pesticides, seeing the face of the person that I bought it from. And what do you think increases when we do all of those things, Brandon? When you go and get like the very best quality, how do you think people feel about that kind of food versus something that is just in a box off the shelf, or you just got in a drive-through at a fast food? What happens to that food when you're getting it and you looked at the face of the farmer and you know that it's fresh and it's the very best quality. I mean,
things like confidence and health and those sort of things.
yes, it has more value, right? Because you're adding these other things on you're going, oh, I have more confidence in this product. And you're exactly right. You're actually like, when we poll a high percentage of the people that we poll about organic, they say it's better. They know organic's better. They're not really sure why, but they know it's better. They know it has less pesticides, and they know that's a good thing to not have less pesticides. Why can't we all have that? Everyone acts like we can't have this. I have so many people that tell me, oh, I can't afford that. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because you can afford that. You can't afford to go organic. Like when I go to the farmer's market, I cut out the middleman. That is the distributor, the broker, the retail markup. There's 3 other people involved in food that get their cut. And they're each getting a percentage, and that's making that food more and more expensive. And who took all the risk? Who took all the risk, Brandon? Who was the one risking losing their entire crop if the weather got bad? Or if, they had some sort of an infestation or something? It's the farmer. They're the ones taking all the risks. They're the ones that deserve the money. These other people are just leeching off the farmer, off their valuable product that's fresh, pesticide-free, high-quality food like the tangerines that I get, not like these halo tangerines that are grown with fracking water. Big difference. I have seen a list of the chemicals in fracking, and these are some of the most toxic chemicals that you can imagine. And again, we're putting all these chemicals together in a product. We never test them together, Brandon. We're testing each one of these chemicals by themselves. And we go, oh, it's fine by itself. But when you create these chemical cocktails where you're putting hundreds of chemicals together, and you never test that interaction between those chemicals. When you put 100 chemicals together and you mix it up, there was one instant where actually they were creating DDT because it started showing up in the environment again, and they were like, wait a minute, we stopped selling DDT, but it was actually made from these other secret ingredients in a miticide. And that's why it was starting to show up again. We have a right to know what super toxins are being created when we mix these different chemicals together. And that is what the World Health Organization looked at. And that is why they said Roundup is cancer causing. And that is why the state of California agreed, and they added Roundup glyphosate to their Prop 65 list of cancer-causing ingredients. But it's not just the glyphosate, everyone. It's that whole product. And when you have something that nothing will grow in that spot for a whole year, nothing will grow. It is dead for a year. Oh yeah, no weeds will grow. But you have now created a dead zone where nothing will live again for a year. When there's other alternatives, you can just put some vinegar on there and put a little bit of salt and soap in there and dish soap, and it'll kill the weed. You don't need Roundup, okay? But I wanted everyone to know that because they're testifying. We need you guys to comment. They're looking at neonicotinoids, which we know cause 100% death, even at half the dose the government allows. So all of these things have these inert ingredients, and Dr. Seneff tried to explain why they are so toxic. So let's listen to what she has to say, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about food and organic food and packaging and how that's ending up in our ocean.
And and it goes into the seed.
It
So
is going into the seed because they try to
yeah.
say we're removing the hull, and with that, the pesticide is going bye-bye too. But you're saying no, it's penetrating because actually there was is it chloride that they add that actually makes it penetrate, the glyphosate penetrate even deeper?
Well, they add these additional adjuvants that make it, and surfactants that make the glyphosate much, much more toxic to the plants than it would otherwise be. And of course, that also makes it more toxic to us. And the really amazing thing to me is they don't need to show what its toxicity is in the context of the things that they add. They don't even have to tell us what those things are. So when you buy a product, you don't know what's in there. And they're putting stuff in there to make it more toxic to the plants, mostly to allow it to penetrate the cell membrane so that it can get into the cell and cause its damage. So it amazes me that the EPA thinks that's fine, that they should only, they actually have a policy that they should only test these chemicals in isolation. And then whatever tests are done by other people that are doing on the product, they dismiss those because that's not the chemical in isolation.
Yeah, and just to kind of explain that a little bit, that's, because we've been talking about glyphosate. And glyphosate is this active ingredient that's in Roundup. And what you were just talking about, that along with glyphosate are all these other chemicals added to the Roundup product that are surfactants and other chemicals that make it more toxic to the plant and more permeable through the cell membrane.
Yes, and
they're toxic.
It's shocking to me. They're toxic in and of themselves, and people have shown 1,000-fold more toxicity of the product compared to the individual isolated component. People like Saralini have shown that. It's just amazing to me that the EPA thinks there's no problem with that scenario where you say, well, we tested it in isolation, it was fine, and therefore we can put whatever other things into the product and go ahead and release it on the naive public, using us as guinea pigs, basically.
That's right, using us as guinea pigs. And we're being used as guinea pigs in so many different ways. GMO rice was just approved in China. China does not eat GMO rice. They do not allow it to their people. No one in China is supposed to be eating GMO rice. They don't trust it. But their chemists were like, hey, these United States is eating GMOs. Maybe we can sell them some GMO rice. So they created in their labs some GMO rice, and they're growing it over there with glyphosate, and they're shipping it to us. And our government allowed the approval of this GMO rice to be imported and sold to us. And they have never finished the GMO labeling, mandatory GMO labeling. So you won't even know if that is that Chinese GMO rice. You will have no clue. So they won't eat it in China, but we can be the guinea pigs, right? Because I guarantee there's no long-term testing. They just finished, creating this. They got it all done. Oh, we got a product to sell. Let's go sell it to the United States. They'll buy it. They want to score points with us anyway. This is crazy. They're allowing Chinese chicken to be imported. I'm sorry. That's not good enough for me. I will buy Lotus Foods. I will buy Lundberg Farms, excuse me. And those are my two favorite brands. And then I can go to Clark's Nutrition, and I can buy all different kinds of organic rice in bulk for way cheaper. Just like I bought these kidney beans that I have right here. And these were bought in bulk, so this is the cheapest price I can buy them. I can soak these kidney beans, and then I can cook them, and I can add them to, where's my my Amy's chili. Amy's chili is a vegetarian chili. It's delicious. It's full of all kinds of flavor. To really make a chili, you got to do all these different things and get the spices just right in this. If you just start with Amy's chili, 2 cans of it, cook some kidney beans ahead of time, soak them, cook them until they're soft. Then you can add that to the 2 cans of Amy's chili. And trust me, kidney beans, you want some fiber? Okay, you're having some trouble. Okay, kidney beans are packed full of fiber. But you don't have to just use kidney beans. You could use black beans. They have even more fiber. Or you could use pinto beans. Maybe you have a little bit left over from the other day. You can make a whole new meal. Maybe you're making burritos. You got some beans left. Add those to the Amy's chili. Along with that, what you do is here I have, this is like from Gerard's. This is a store brand of, don't buy Muir Glen, although maybe they're the ones that co-pack this, but this is a store brand, organic diced tomatoes. And then I have some tomato paste. You could also add a can of tomato sauce if you want. Then you could also put like an onion in there, saute an onion in some olive oil and put that in there. Or you could add peppers, some fresh peppers, cut those up, cook those with the onion, add that to the chili. And then these diced tomatoes, or you could use fresh tomatoes if you have fresh tomatoes. And here's some tomato paste. Mix all that up, throw in a little, hey, I got my, I brought you guys my secret. It's kind of my secret group of spices here that makes everything taste good. And if you're buying non-organic spices, you are being ripped off, okay? I'm telling you the truth here. And the reason is because, first of all, those are grown with pesticides. Then they irradiate them. Yeah, they expose them to radiation, so the shelf life is like 10 years, 15 years, something like that. It doesn't go bad. So you can get so many antioxidants which prevent cancer from spices. They're using rosemary as an antibacterial to preserve food now because it's so powerful with antioxidants. Rosemary, and I even brought with me, this is, oh, you'll have to smell this, Brandon. It is fresh thyme that my local organic farmer, Three Sisters Farm, grew. And it's fresh thyme, and I added that to my soup that I made. And I'm going to talk about my soup because most of what was in my soup people probably would have tossed. And I now have this huge pan of soup of all this stuff made out of all these things that people would have tossed. And it's good. Okay, it's really good. The one thing they wouldn't have tossed is probably this daikon radish right here.
I just want to note that I am so glad that you're at the end of my shift because I am so hungry.
Oh, really? Hey, well, you want to, first of all, Brandon's going to be testing a vegan bar for us. It's called a organic vegan green bar. Did you try it yet?
I haven't. I was waiting for you to bring it up. That way I can give real first impressions. And,
okay, well, go ahead and try that. Or if you want to have that for dessert, you could try I brought a thermos of the soup. I just made this. Although it's not completely vegan, but it does have, it just has a little bit of, it's not completely vegan. Because what I did, okay, this is what's in the soup. This is why it's great because all these things would have been like thrown away. Okay, I was cleaning through my, my refrigerator and I found like 3 chunks of onion that I had cut for, a hamburger which is out of beef from my local farmer, by the way. I had like 3 chunks of onions. Oh, and then I had a head of cabbage that I'm going to make some coleslaw out of. But of course, you want the really crispy part for salad, right? But the outside leaves of the cabbage were good, but they were kind of limpy, right? So in my pan, I threw these 3 chunks of onion. I left the skin on everything. To put them in there because they're all organic. I got them at the farmer's market. Threw that in there, and then I threw I had gotten this organic celery from these farmers on the Thursday night Redlands market. Oh my gosh. It was gigantic, and I took the tops. The tops were still on there. So, people get ripped off in the store because you don't get the tops. And people think, oh, I wouldn't want the tops. it's just I'm going to throw it away anyway. Not me. No, I saved those tops. They were beautiful, man. They were just gorgeous. You could tell it was like the most healthiest looking celery I ever saw. And so I had cut those tops off where the leaves are, and it was huge, man. And I'm just stuffing it in the pan. And then I had some chicken bones. And at our house, we don't like chew on the bones. We just cut stuff off. So we save the bones, and I put those in there. And then, I had some sausage drippings from when, and this is all, again, from the farmer's market, raised by a student that's learning organic farming. And so I had some of that for more flavor. And then I just cooked that up. I started with that, cooked that up in my pressure cooker. Then I did that for about an hour, got it up to pressure, and then I took the vegetables out because you don't want to cook them too long, especially celery. It can kind of turn on you. You know, it'll add a nice flavor to and you know, you could have made this vegan. I could have not put the bones in there or the sausage stuff. You can still take a bunch of vegetables that you have in your fridge, and maybe they're not perfect, but they're great for broth. And they're organic. You got fresh from the market. Why do you want to waste them? So you can throw them in there. So I put all that in there. And then I scooped out the cabbage and the onions and the celery tops, and I put that in a separate thing. And then I cooked it a little bit more with the bones, just to get more bone broth and more gelatin in there, which is sulfur, which we're going to talk. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about. I'm running out of time. But anyway, so I did that, and then the next thing was after I cooked, then I took the bones out, and then I put some potatoes in there. And then I bring it up to pressure again and get those potatoes cooked. And then you can either use one of those hand mixers or a masher. And then after you take the lid off and they're cooked, you mash the potatoes. And that mashing the potatoes puts a starch in the broth and makes it a little bit thicker and makes it more full-bodied. And so then after you mash the potatoes, then you put more. I had some cut potatoes, I had some cut celery, and I have a daikon radish here, Daikon. And this is an oriental type radish. It's a big white radish. It's really big. It's just long and white. If you tune in at KCAA radio, you can see our daikon radish here. And I was asking an Asian woman at the market, what do you do with this? And she said, I put it in soup. And I go, you know, I've had it like at the sushi place where they grate it up in little thin strips. But I never thought of putting it in soup. So I put some daikon radish in my soup today. So I put that, the celery, and some more potato. And, you know, you could add even like some rice, or I have some noodles here. And I tell you, I made some chicken broth with some of this noodles the other day. And I did put some flour, and you mix the flour and broth, or excuse me, with milk, and then you strain it for no lumps. And oh my gosh, this soup, we didn't waste one single drip of it. It was like, it was all eaten. And people overcook the noodles. These are a special natural noodle that I make sure I put extra broth in the soup, and then you put the noodles in and you just bring them to boil and then turn it off. And then let it sit with the lid. I'm telling you, a lid and turning things off is so important, because when you put those other vegetables in, you just get it to boiling and then you turn it off and leave the lid on, and then it comes out perfect. Otherwise, you overcook the vegetables and then they end up like mush. And then what you do is if you have a really big pan, like I have at home now from that stuff that everyone else would have thrown away, I now have this huge pan of soup, which I have several meals out of. I can even take it, and I've got lots of broth, so I could take, you don't want to heat up what you're not going to eat with soup. Cool it down, store what you're not going to eat, freeze it if you have to. I like to use Ziploc bags because it's so easy. It gives me more room. Get the freezer bags, of course. And make sure it's cool, because don't put hot things in a plastic bag. So you freeze, you can freeze the soup or store what you're not going to eat. Only heat up what you're going to eat. Because if you heat up like the whole thing is soup, you just keep cooking the vegetables over and over again. And if you want to keep the vegetables nice and crisp, only heat up what you're going to eat when you go to heat up, because it's a big, I had a big pot. It's got to be a lot of meals out of that. But it's just so amazing to me because people throw this stuff away. Okay, I gave you my secret recipe for Amy's chili, but also my soup and every soup that I make that makes it taste so good is I put organic butter, organic olive oil, and organic spices. Now, my secret spices, this one, all-purpose seasoning by Simply Organic. I tell you, that is the bomb, everybody. You want a good soup base. People used to use like this bouillon stuff. Well, my bouillon I get from the bones. But MSG, monosodium glutamate, is in there. And this is like, people have negative reaction to monosodium glutamate. Instead of that, instead of thinking you have to get, and they've got broth mixes, you know, soup mixes, all this stuff, just get Simply Organic all-purpose seasoning and use that in your broth. And I tell you, it's just so easy because it's like they already figured out the perfect mixture. Okay, next thing, red pepper. Red pepper, it keeps your soup from going bad, for one thing, besides being good for your heart, because hot pepper is antibacterial. So actually, along with rosemary, those things actually help your food stay preserved longer. So red pepper, great for your heart, great for your circulation, antibacterial. If you have a cold, it'll get there in the back of your throat and actually start killing the bacteria there. You can also, I have some organic sliced jalapenos here. And I'm telling you, trying to lose weight, I lost 30 pounds. This was a great day for me. I got on the scale this morning, still lost the 30 pounds. What happens is you have this lipoprotein lipase. It is a special regulator of how much fat is in your body. You have to keep the weight off for 6 months to a year for that to become your new set point. Otherwise, your body keeps trying to put the weight back on. It works against you. It just thinks that's the normal weight it's supposed to be, so it tries to get there. So I personally like to just have one really good meal a day because I feel satisfied. Some people, they do these lots of little meals. I personally think that doesn't give your body a chance to just rest. I tested high for thyroid. And I found out that they're spraying pesticides all around my home. If you go to bluemonarchproject.com under problem local use, just go take a look at what they're spraying around Loma Linda, the medical center. Loma Linda Medical Center is spraying in Loma Linda Academy. These are the worst of the worst pesticides, and this is right next to my house. I know my thyroid problem is because of that, because I'm eating an all-organic diet. And they're spraying the worst pesticides right by my house. It's drifting right over onto my property. I was spending a lot of time outside. So I'm not going to exercise a whole lot right now. Instead, I focused on just eating the best meals and having one great meal, usually per day, and feeling full and having super good quality food, and giving my body a chance to rest. I used to work out 3 hours a day. I'm not doing that right now. I'm trying for my body to have a chance to heal and get normalized again. But I have to get them to stop spraying pesticides too, and I need help. So everyone, please go check out Blue Monarch Project. But I tell you, these sliced jalapenos, great way to add lots of flavor without a whole lot of calories. And if you go to our website, smarthealthtalk.com, I have Smart Health Talk Resolutions. It's on our homepage, but also under resources. Okay, what's some of the other spices that I have? Okay, we have cinnamon, which I put in my pie over here, which I'm hoping I'll get a chance to talk about. Paprika. Paprika is a pepper that has lots of antioxidants in it. You want to get these spices organic. You don't know what you're missing. The flavor in these spices is so incredible, and it shows up in your foods and you don't need to add a lot of other fattening things or bad things to get the flavor. Black pepper, of course. Dietetic school, they tried to tell us that's bad. No way. We're finding out black pepper is really great. I use real salt. It's from a mountain in Utah that used to be under the ocean. It's full of all kinds of minerals. Did you have a question?
Real quick, the difference between the normal black pepper that people normally have on their table and then something that was, ground is amazing. It is worth the difference.
And getting maybe grind it yourself fresh. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, even if you don't do that, as long as you don't get the stuff that they normally put on the table at like a diner. Oh yeah. Well, there's a big difference there.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. People don't realize that how old this stuff can be, and it's irradiated. And these are spices. This is where the flavor for our food comes from. Simply Organic, Frontier. The other one that I had here is turmeric. Turmeric and coumarin. They're two different things, but they both are really important, and they help block the bad things that glyphosate does, as well as apple cider vinegar, according to Dr. Senev. Now, I have here just a little tiny carton of bone broth, and it has lemongrass, and lemongrass is a diuretic. So when you're at work, this is a cute little size. You can bring this bone broth. If you get a little hungry around 10 o'clock or so, you can warm this up and just sip on it. Or you can even put some of these spices in the bone broth. You can put some peas in there. Bring some frozen peas, and keep them in the freezer and just add them to your cup. Peas have lots of fiber. They're sweet. They kind of, pop in your mouth. They're fun. Here's another idea for you. Here I have some salsa. This is Acadia. This is a store brand. Cheaper. It's organic. Medium salsa. I have these incredible eggs. I wish you could see them. They're blue, green, white, brown. These are right from the farmer's market. And try cooking your egg in salsa. Put the salsa in the pan, and I don't know, about a ½ inch thick or so. And then get it hot, and then crack your egg in the salsa. Kind of like a poached egg, but cook it in the salsa instead. And just kind of maybe scoop some of the salsa on top of the egg until it's done. And then just put all that in a bowl or on your plate and eat the salsa and the egg together. And the vitamin C helps you absorb more protein. It brings it brings the iron in. And so you absorb more iron from the egg. Please eat the whole egg. They lied to you for years trying to tell you that the yolk was causing high cholesterol, and high cholesterol is actually not a bad thing. Dr. Senev tells us that, there was a study that was done, and those that had the highest cholesterol from those 70 and up for 17 years, they either died or they were still alive. Those that had the highest cholesterol lived the longest. Those with the lowest died the soonest. We're creating all this plaque around our heart because we're not getting enough LDL. We're not going in the sun enough. We're not getting enough cholesterol sulfate. We're not eating enough sulfur foods. Okay, let's go ahead and try the vegan. Go ahead and try that and tell me what you think, because we only have a few minutes left.
All right.
And see these little sprouts coming out of my potatoes?
Yeah.
That's because there weren't sprout inhibitor chemicals or all these other chemicals that they put on the outside of a potato. So I feel good eating the skin of my potato. And if you never see your potatoes grow, I guarantee the chemical was added to your potato. So who wants that? You know, I got these from the farmer's market. Okay, now those of you that are trying to eat vegan, it is such a good thing. It helps our planet. It's good for your body. Even if you can replace one meat meal with a non-meat meal, and that's our Smart Health Talk resolution number 10. We have all kinds of really great information to get you started on a vegan or vegetarian diet right there on our Smart Health Talk resolution, and you can find those on our website, see Smart Health Talk resolution. So this is a bar I really love. It's called Whole Earth and Sea. I've been taking their D3. They have a algae omega-3. The D3 has been really great too. I can feel a difference in my joints because of the thyroid problem. Anyway, so what do you think? It's covered in chocolate and it's got all kinds of green stuff in the center.
Okay, so two things. One, I can tell that it will make you feel full.
Uh-huh.
Which is kind of good because, I mean, if you're a calorie counter, I don't know if you encourage that or not, but if you are, it isn't very high. So it will feel a lot like a meal, and it will make you feel full like you had a meal, and it's nutritionally dense, but it's very filling. So, and it tastes good. So
I thought it was pretty good too, and I'm not a big bar person.
Oh, neither am I. If I have a bar, it's usually like something that, you know, an oat-based bar. I usually don't have these kinds because I usually don't like these kind, but this one's good.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, I'll definitely tell them. And another great bargain I have right here is organic baked beans from Trader Joe's. I mean, this, I don't like really to eat out of a can if you don't have to because the BPA can be in there, and that's a hormone disruptor. But this organic baked beans are actually really good. I like them, and that's a Trader Joe product. Now, this Tulsi Cleanse, I want to give a little plug for that because I got some in my cup right now. It's very good tasting. It's great for your liver and your kidneys, and these are two vital organs that really get it from glyphosate and Roundup and these pesticides. So this is not, you know, I'm not like, oh yeah, this is cleansing you. No, what it's doing is these particular herbs and ingredients in here are very nutrient. They have nutrients that benefit those organs. So it helps those organs do their job better when they have the nutrients that they need. And there are some herbs that make your body do things. There are some that are toxic, and then there are some that are like food grade herbs, like our spices that we talked about. But this is very gentle. Tulsi Organic India, Tulsi Cleanse, Organic India is the brand. I highly recommend all of their products. Numi Tea and Choice Tea are our other two favorite brands of organic teas. And I've been trying, I got this huge jar of mesquite honey from the farmer's market, Brandon. And it's dark, so it has lots of antioxidants in it. The darker the honey, and it's grainy, which means they didn't filter it. So it has all the good stuff in it, and it's raw. That's what you want to look for. But my jar is like this big. And it was $60 for that huge jar of raw mesquite honey. What a bargain. I got that at the farmer's market, everyone. And for other proteins, I highly recommend Safe Catch or Wild Planet Herb tuna. If you want to get that. And one of my very, very favorites for vitamin D is the mackerel. Which I have right here, Wild Planet, Wild Mackerel, super high vitamin D, everyone. But go out, get some sun. You can get safe sun. Let the sun touch your skin. You're going to make cholesterol sulfate. If you get more sun, you're going to store less plaque around your heart. And I guess your body will even do like a mini heart attack. And it can be a good thing. Now, go ahead, Brendan.
Oh, I just the 1 minute, but
oh, 1 minute. Okay.
Man, this hour went by real fast.
I know it did. I felt like we really covered a lot of stuff, so I hope that that was a benefit for some of the people listening. And you didn't get to see my sweet potato pie. I made this sweet potato pie, and I put some walnuts in it, some chia seeds. I cooked the sweet potatoes, and I put it in the food processor with walnuts, chia seeds, some butter, a little bit of brown sugar, and I put it in a pie with some tangerine juice and maple syrup and raw maple syrup. And then I put in a graham cracker crust, and I get organic graham crackers and just butter and sugar, and that's the crust. And I put some little tangerines on top too, and some walnuts with it. But you can whip these things up. It's so easy, and that is like a sweet, healthy thing that your kids can have, and they're getting lots of fiber and vitamin A and all kinds of good stuff. Thank you so much for listening to Smart Health Talk. I hope we made a little bit of a difference in your life today, and you're going to start thinking about trying to be more healthy and buying more organic foods, because we're going to make them change our food system, because they're going to want us to buy their food, and then we're going to say if it's not organic, we're not buying it. All right, I'm your host, Elaine McFadden. Find us on YouTube, everyone. Please subscribe. Thanks a lot. Bye.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com, or call them at 657